In 2nd grade, I went to a neighbor's birthday party and ate 2/3 of a hot dog and tossed the rest. My friend's dad literally made me eat it out of the garbage. He stopped the party, picked it up, handed it to me, got this wild-eyed, sneering look on his face, and started screaming about how he worked for that, and I was going to eat it, and respect his hard work, and don't waste it. Yeah, the dude was fucking loaded. He could afford to lose 35 cents worth of chicken toes and pork snouts, but apparently the insult, from an 8-year-old, was too grave for him to accept. During primary school I was involved in an out-of-school program that required traveling to another local school. Because my parents worked during the day, they arranged for me to be picked up by the mother of one of other children in my class. We went back to the place where I was to wait until my mother came to pick me up. While I was waiting, her son picked up a book and his mother turned to him and said, "What have I told you about touching your stepfather's stuff?" She then grabbed him by the ear and pulled him over to his bedroom, shoved him in, and locked the bedroom from the outside with a heavy bolt. I can remember hearing him screaming from the other side of the door. I can't remember exactly what she said to me, but it was something along the lines of, "This is the way it has to be." I told my parents, and needless to say, I never got a lift home with them again. Also, a few months later he was removed from his parents after he set fire to his bedroom. Once I witnessed an argument between my mom and stepdad about some green Heinz ketchup my mom had bought. His response was to drag my mother by her hair to the bedroom where he loaded a shotgun, then pressed his head against hers and tried to force her to pull the trigger. All the while I'm standing in the doorway watching in complete silence. She ended up saving herself by putting her finger behind the trigger and was left with a blood blister from him trying to pull it regardless. She eventually wriggled free and he says, "I'm just going to kill myself then." To which my mom responds with, "Well, do it outside. Because I really don't feel like cleaning up the mess." That took balls. He could have just shot her right there. What's crazy is at the time it all seemed so normal to me. 2 years ago, when I was a kid, me and my friend were walking into a nearby park just after lunch. As we entered, an older guy who was probably in his mid to late teens approached us. He asked if we wanted to see the guns he had in his trunk, and we of course said no and tried walking away, but he grabbed my friend and tried dragging him toward his car. We screamed for help and he let go and ran off towards his car. A little while later a couple of police officers stopped us and asked if we had seen a teenager matching his description, so we told them what happened. Luckily, I had a great memory as a kid and remembered his license plate, so after telling the cops everything they escorted us back to my place. A week later we found out this guy had abducted and raped 6 kids and ended up being tried as an adult instead of a teenager and is probably still in prison. I still remember the incident pretty clearly. 2 years ago, found a body when I was 14. Me and my family were hiking Easter morning along the Grand River, and me and my sister wanted to explore the riverbank, so we each went our separate ways. I saw a backpack hanging from a small tree, so I went over, but when I got closer, I saw a mannequin. The mannequin's hand was holding onto a branch and it was lying face down in the mud wearing jeans and a hoodie with the hood up. There was a gun on the ground. I thought it was fake, and an empty pack of Scooby-Doo fruit gummies. I decided to kick the thing, but when my foot connected with its thigh, I instantly knew it was a person. Bolted out of there and I told my dad. I thought I kicked some sleeping homeless dude and I was super paranoid, sprinting back towards my parents. My father went to investigate and said it was a body, so we called 911. Later found out the guy had killed himself, bullet to the roof of the mouth, but he slightly misfired and probably lived for around 30 seconds after the shot. The police were very surprised we didn't hear a gunshot because it was that recent. The reason why I thought it was a mannequin was because his hand was elevated. This caused all of the blood drain out and pool in his body, which made his hand look snow white like a mannequin's hand would. Never saw any blood and never got to find out what was in the bag. Thank God I didn't see his face. A few years ago, I went to the kitchen around 2 a.m. to get a glass of water. I figured, why put the lights on if I'm gonna be done in 5 seconds, right? So, 10-year-old me was in complete darkness when I noticed someone staring through our window, with their hands pressed against the glass we had seen through curtains. I screamed at the top of my lungs and froze. Mom woke up and came running to the kitchen to me crying like a baby in my pajamas. He was already gone, but I told her what happened, so she went outside with a knife to look for him but never found him. And that's why we don't have seen through curtains anymore. I still have an irrational fear of the dark.